What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be checking out a title called Sands of Aura. We covered this about a year and a half ago when it was on its inaugural launch into early access. I actually went through and played the game for 3 or 4 hours. I streamed it. I did all that kind of fun stuff, and we were able to collect some thoughts, but the game's been out now for about a year and a half. And it's had a number of major content updates, and it's had some changes, so I figured it was time to update our coverage and check the game out. If you don't know what Sands of Aura is kind of like an open-world, sand-sailing action RPG that's very heavily influenced by all of the Souls games or like the Bloodborne games. It's a game that definitely expects you to be really good at blocking, parrying, dodging, all that kind of stuff. But it definitely has very much of an exploratory bent as well. Like, this is a game that wants you to look inside of all of its nooks and crannies to make it happy in order to find all the loot and all the treasure and everything else you want to get your hands on in order to succeed at the game. And so we're going to take a look at it here for about 30 or 40 minutes and see if the coverage needs to be updated or not. If after watching this you wanted to get the game for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description. You can find it there, and then on top of that, you can also find a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream just in case you wanted to hang out live on any given day of the week. I'm going to be booting it back up and streaming a little bit more frequently going on into the future. But let's go ahead and start this thing on off, and I'll get you appraised with Sands of Aura. Alright, so here we are in Sands of Aura. This is more or less the beginning of the game. I'm about an hour to like an hour and a half in from the beginning of the game. And the basic premise of this game is that it is an endless desert where water does not exist anymore. And so water is kind of like this currency that people are battling and fighting over, Caves of Cud style. It's almost like a currency. And so we have had a major issue where a cathedral is burned down, and in burning down, it got a whole bunch of corruption in our water supply, which is one of the last water supplies on the planet. So I've been sent by the knighthood that I'm a part of to go and talk to a guy to see if we can get some more water, or at least make a deal. This village right here has all kinds of side quests. It has loads of things to explore. It has an optional dungeon inside of it. There are loot turn-ins. There are places where you turn in scriptures, you turn in books, you turn in various alcohol recipes. This game definitely has like a collect-a-thon piece to it. And so while I'm not particularly going to be wandering around the village a whole lot right now at the beginning of this video, I did want to make it abundantly clear that this game very, very early on establishes the fact that this is a game that wants you to explore. It wants you to look inside of all the various locations that you're being introduced to, because there is hidden stuff all over the place, from like quests to narratives to sort of like fleshing out the world and making it more interesting to finding items. There's lots and lots of optional stuff in this game. Now, I have 2 quests at the moment. If I hop onto my ship, I've got one where I've got to go make a deal with the water trader to see if we can import our water. And I've got another quest that they said is to the southeast, and that's to return, I think, a sacred book that was stolen by some bandits. And so this is my grain wake right here. The grain wake is the principal method by which everyone in this setting travels and gets around. Basically, it's just a sailboat that goes out and on the sand. That's pretty much it. So I figure what I'll do first is we'll go take a look to the southeast, and we'll kind of see what's going on with these bandits, see if that's something that we can accomplish at our current power level, or if we're going to get stomped outright, because there are some areas that you can go to and you can sort of skill your way through, and then there are other areas that you get to that, like, even if you're very, very skilled, you're going to be taking a lot of damage every time you, like, slip up, and so some things we may not necessarily be ready for yet. So there's a couple of locations over here, but they don't particularly look like the ruins that we were going after. I'm guessing they're going to get pinged on the map once I take a look at them. We'll also see if maybe there's a grain wake dock over here. Exploration. Ooh, look at that over there. What is that thing? There's like some kind of big tornado mountain thing going on over there. There's also a giant glowing death laser off to that side. Who knows what we're walking into right now, man? I have no idea what absolute travesty of violence I'm sailing myself into.
Town that revered the dead, respected the cycle. Good people once, all dead now thanks to the coward Duke who abandoned them.
Well, this is the place that we were looking for. The ruins of Herwell. I've got to find the docking spot. This is sort of like when you play a sci-fi game and you don't know exactly where the docking port is on like a new space station that you've never seen before. That's kind of where I'm at right now with this location. I need to sail around a little bit and see if I can figure out exactly where the docking spot is. I think I see it right there. There's going to be like a little glowing pedestal whenever you can pull in and investigate a location. So supposedly there are bandits here, and these bandits have yoinked a piece of holy literature, those fat bars that the priests require in order to get their homilies and whatnot done. The game follows exactly what you expect it to do for all Souls-light sort of action RPGs. This is a bonfire right here. It's got a bell on it. It's like bang bong, and then, you know, it restores your health. And then you can actively get after whatever your quest is. It also refills your Estus flask, which is a little ring-a-ding bell that you're just like ring-a-ding-a-ding-ding-ding-ding, if you wanted to heal yourself back up to full. I don't know how bad these bandits are going to be. There's a real solid chance here that I'm just going to get smoked. Yeah, they hit pretty hard. Oh, they're like zombies. Gotcha. Okay, so they're like zombie. Okay, don't throw that at me. Yeah, I think I could do that right there. They don't seem to have that stiff of a chin on them right there. Like, they hit really, really hard. But they also seem to get hit really, really hard. There is jumping in this game, and there is like 3-space mobility. So for example, you see that little light right there that's on that rock? Technically, I could jump down there and go get it. The game does have a fair bit of platforming if you look around for opportunities to do so. And so we'll go off this way real fast.
This would be a good just need the
Oh, it's a fishing spot, but I need a fishing pole. Gotcha. I don't know what these guys do. I think I fought some of these guys previously. They're like corrupted zombies. Like, it's a zombie apocalypse in the middle of a desert, okay? The water gets corrupted, and anybody that drinks the water gets turned into like an evil beast. What are you? Are you gonna hurt me?
My, a remnant knight. The 7 points bring us together in the most ungodly of places. I am Danthea, a redeemer sent by the Church of Lysis. From one hand of justice to another, a warning. Walk lightly upon the cursed ground of Herwell.
Yeah, walk lightly and have a pair of big, giant, spiky balls is apparently the thing that I'm being told.
The Lady of Herwell has ousted a band of grave robbers from their holes. Now she's on a cleanse most unholy. But it is one of these grave robbers I pursue, a man mired in sin, much in need of the absolution I'm going to grant him. If only the lady would allow me to do my holy work. A remnant knight's authority carries more weight than a hand of the church here in northern Talamel. You can walk where I cannot. Knight, help me seek out this sinner so that I may rid myself of this horrid place. By her embrace, your spirit rekindled for the task ahead. The grave robber I seek is known simply as the Burned Man. Seek out the grave robbers yet to meet the Lady's Blade, and see if you can track down this burned man. If you do this, the church will know of its remnant ally and the reward that's deserved.
In general, the voice acting in this game is done very, very tastefully. I don't think I've had a problem with any of the performances so far. They seem to have selected their voice actors very, very well. Ooh, treasure. I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up right there. In addition, you will also find that the soundtrack is quite good to this game, almost cinematically good. Like, whoever handled the soundtrack for this game definitely went in on it with their heart and soul, and you can tell very, very much. I'm gonna see if I can pull like one zombie at a time because I'd rather not deal with like 100 of them all at once. There we go. We'll drop you. I'm just going to wait right here. I've employed this strategy all across the game. The game seems to have very, very tight aggro boxes. And so, like, if you just don't advance, they don't seem to wake up that aggressively. And you can kind of pull 1 or 2 at a time. And I've been doing that for a lot of the random conflict around here. You stay away from me. I'm using a spear right now. This game has a customized forge system, which I probably should have showed you before we left town. But basically, the customized forge system allows you to do a haft, a head, and like a pommel. And from that, you can create, you know, like a double-headed mace that's kind of like, oh, I don't know, something like what Darth Maul would have, except with giant maces on each side. You can make spears, you can make glaives, you can make kind of like nunchucks. There's all kinds of things you can make out of the crafting system, and it's up to you to decide what things are the most appealing to you. I'm a big spear guy. I tend to prefer spears and glaives, and so I figured that's what I would go for since they're my favorite weapon. But other people will obviously go for other things. And then from there, once you've got the weapon forged, you can actively upgrade it with this stuff called sacramite that you'll find around. And there's one right there, as I was explaining it. That Saccharomite dust is what you use to upgrade your weapon so that it hits harder. What's this guy gonna do?
To do this, promise I'm not. But if they're busy feasting on yous, they won't be feasting on me. Sorries, I suppose.
Okay.
Come on then! Come and get it, you nasties!
Oh no, dude. I don't even know what these are. Whatever they are, they hit really, really hard. I'm gonna need to heal. And I just gotta hope that I get that off. The heal animation in this game is a little bit long. I've noticed that it doesn't appear to me as though there's like a safe time to heal. I've been through a lot of combats in this game so far when I was kind of like getting it ready to decide if I wanted to do another video. And anytime I need to heal, man, it just feels like the enemies are on me and on me and on me. Like, it can be very, very difficult sometimes to find a gap in which you can actively, like, throw your Estus flask onto yourself, just because the animation is a little bit long. Listen, jerk. You gonna let me through now? No? I probably wouldn't let me through either. Honestly, I'm feeling a little bit vicious and like a little bit retaliatory. What's going on over here? There's some kind of bee. Ow. Oh yeah, the game also queues your inputs, which is a big, big no-no. So the game queues your inputs. You saw it happen right there. That's the reason why I got hit so many times by that bug, is because I swung and then I started tapping shift to dodge. It queued up all the dodges after the weapon swing. And once again, that queuing is another one of the reasons why the combat can feel so incredibly clunky in this game from time to time. They also swapped it out. Like the last time I played this game, the dodge was kind of like a ninja dash that was just like, shoo. It was very, very quick. They've swapped that out for like a roll now, and I think it feels much less satisfying and much less engaging. I'm not sure what led them to make that decision, but I feel like that's a bad decision. The old dodge, in my opinion, was flatly better. Let's see here. I gotta keep pulling more of these guys up. Like, I don't want to get too aggressive, because when I die here, and inevitably I will die, I'm going to drop all my money on the ground, and I'm going to need to be able to reclaim it. Those guys are holding balls on their back right there. I definitely know the feeling. I can identify with that. Happens to the best of us. But are they going to throw them at me? Or are they going to be like some kind of Explodo dudes? It's kind of hard to say. I guess they don't explode. So, like, what's the point of, like, the giant, ridiculous tumor that they all have? Yeah, I wanted to dodge right there. They're going to need to add animation breaks to the game. So there's no animation breaks whatsoever inside of this game, and I think that's another thing that leads to the prevailing clunkiness that tends to come out in the combat, is if you look at something like Hades, I've talked about this in the past, but one of the reasons why, first of all, what is an animation break? An animation break allows you to break an animation. So, for example, if you take that swing right there, and I spam my block button, it looks like I can break the animation initially, but once it's past a certain point, you're locked into the animation until it goes fully all the way around your body. An animation break would allow you to effectively break that animation right after either hitting an enemy or at a very specific point in the animation. There's a cutoff, and you can dodge out of the swing, and you can dodge into the swing, and you can block out of the swing, and you can block into the swing, so long as you're before that threshold. One of the reasons why Hades felt so good and the combat felt so amazing, or like Monster Hunter, for example, another game where the combat feels incredible, is because the animations have very, very specific... Okay, there's a guy trying to hit me with a sword. I don't know if I want to deal with that right now. I don't even know where he came from. But one of the reasons why Monster Hunter and Hades feel so good in their implementation is because they have very tasteful, very predictable animation breaks. I want what's in this chest, but I did not want to pull that bug right there. Let's see... There we go. There is a perfect parry system in the game. I would recommend that you use it. With the clunkiness that I was talking about in the combat and whatever, the perfect parry system, it does not feel great. but it does work more consistently than dodging, in my opinion. And so this game is kind of forcing me to become a parry god against my will. I don't know if that corpse of the grave robber was what I was looking for the quest. Corpse of a grave robber, maybe you can make use of it within the ruins of Herwell. We also got Cavalier Gloves. When you pick up currency, increase your damage dealt by 5% for 45 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. But we're going to need like 2 of that set right there, right? The game does have a very Tim Burton-inspired kind of Corpse Bride motif going for it, but I think it's pretty good. I actually like it a lot. I think it looks really, really fantastic. I think the visual stylings of this game are actively one of the major selling points, in my opinion. Lots and lots of zombies around. I didn't even see those ones in there. There's something in the water over there. There's also some kind of ingot right here. Oh, it's a full-on sacramite dust. Nice. Well, I'm going to see if I can grab a sacramite dust from over here, too. I would go back and, like, save and fill in my flasks, but all the enemies respawn with you when you do that in Dark Souls formula. I'm not a big fan of that mechanic. I know it's one of the fundamental things that makes, like, a Souls-like game, but clearing the same area has never been a mechanic that works for me. Usually what I end up doing is just sprinting past all the enemies to get back to where I was. Unfortunately, in this game, that doesn't really work due to how the aggro tables sort of... like, I guess how the aggro tables work, that doesn't work so great in this game, so you actually have to, like, battle your way all the way back through, which can kind of be a bit of a headache. And so going into this with 0 flasks left, I'm not mega stoked about it. There's a guard back there. It doesn't look like I have a way up on this side. He does have something behind him, though. Let me see what I've got here. So there's a ladder right there that hasn't dropped down yet. It doesn't look like there's a lever or anything that activates it, so that's probably a loop back once we get to the end of the Bandit ruins. That guy is still sitting there banging his shovel and taunting me. So my thinking is, let's check back with her for a second and see if the corpse is for her. Oh, she also has blessings. Yeah. So basically what these talismans do is this is a form of progression. As you get further on into the game, you're going to find like these books or these pages. And if you take them to the cathedral back in your hometown and you offer them to like it's like a podium or like I don't even know what it's called, the pulpit. There we go. It's like a pulpit. Anyways, you offer the pages to the pulpit, and it's going to unlock more talismans. And as you find talismans, you can slot them in, basically. That's what these blessings are. She's basically here just to allow you to swap out your blessings. But I haven't really found anything because I don't even know if I'm playing the game in the right order right now. So, no blessings to be had, alas. I think I will rest and refill my bell and refill my HP. I don't recall what we ran into in this direction. We kind of want to pull that nerd first without pulling all the rest of them. Yeah, there we go. And then we want to fall back so that the archers don't really have any range on us. These guys should follow us up here. Actually, it looks like I just staggered my way through all of them right there. Fair enough. I did not expect that to work, but I guess the walls were destructible. We'll cut off in a different direction this time since we've searched for everything down below. I wish she had not fallen off. It's making that more complicated. We've picked up about 1,300 glint here. Glint is what you use for vendors that you'll find around here and there. There's one back in the hometown. They sell a bunch of quest items for things that people need around town. And you'll also occasionally find vendors that live like inside dungeons and things of that nature. I don't know what this guy's gonna do. It's probably gonna hurt. Okay. I'm gonna just see if I can, like, stagger him down. Oh, he heals. That's annoying. Okay, well, get on in there then. Perfect, we dropped him. I get the feeling he was probably supposed to be scarier than he ended up being, but somehow with my glaive, I ended up, like, cheesing him out. I can break all these over here. Sometimes the pots in this game are destructible, other times they are not. So you're just gonna have to check on them from time to time. Just give them a little love tippity tap, just to see if they break. But also make sure that you're, like, checking behind things, you're checking down beneath things. Oh, look, a super fun ladder. I bet there will be no surprises at all at the top of this ladder. Oh boy. This is definitely one of those places where I wind up dead from a fall. There we go. Let's drop that guy. These archers right here are going to be an issue. And I don't know if I can drag them back around. The camera can be a little bit inconsistent in this game sometimes. Just for getting it to do what you want it to do. Like, ideally for this right here, what I'd like is when we come around this corner, the camera should pan almost into like a 2D mode. And in panning to that almost 2D mode, that would allow us to see the archers as well as the guys that we're fighting down. Yeah, exactly, to avoid that right there. Alright, knock him down. Give me a bell real fast. Ring my bell, ring my bell. This guy right here, we're going to have to run on him and just bang on him, unfortunately. Oh, boy. Yeah, it's a pretty long fall. Luckily, we seem to have survived this situation, kind of, sort of. I'm going to pull this guy if I can. Hey, and the actual benefit of reach. We done speared them all. You can call me Goldberg, because I'm out here spearing everybody. Oh, except for you. Oh, that's annoying. Well, I did not want to take that hit at all. Enemies in this game, you will find that enemies in this game, they hit overbearingly hard. Pretty much every single attack in this game is going to drop you by bare minimum half your health bar. My guess is in doing that, they want you to learn the parry system. The problem is that without animation breaks and whatnot, the combat system comes across so clunky and inconsistent that I think the game trips over itself a little bit in combat. I don't think I would mind the clunkiness of the combat quite so much if you didn't get hit quite so hard. So they're going to have to kind of pick a lane. They're either going to have to retool the combat entirely to make it feel more smooth and fluid, or they're going to have to lower the damage that enemies deal to make the game a lot more forgiving so that the clunkiness doesn't stand out quite as much anymore. That would be my two observations for right now. There's another knight over here. Yeah, get him with a perfect parry. Oh, he point blank threw a knife at me for some reason. Runes, they can be slotted into your gear, just like in Diablo. There's going to be a boss around here, isn't there? I also think they actually need to add a lot more bells to the map. The fact that we've gone, look how far away that other bell is. And look how far we've gone, and there hasn't been like a second bell or like another checkpoint. This is a problem that I frequently run into with this game where they need more checkpoints. There's way too much space in between the checkpoints. Once again, this seems to be one of those situations where they want you to perform in order to get further on into the game, but as I just mentioned as well, the combat's clunkiness gets in the way of that performance. And so anyways, it ends up being one of those things where I think they're either going to have to ease up on the difficulty, or they're going to have to completely and totally retool the combat to make it feel smooth and fluid and nice. It's up to them which one they want to do. I know which one is easier. Ow. You know, I kind of just DPS'd through right there. I didn't use any skill whatsoever. I don't know how I killed everybody. I just started flailing my weapon around wildly like a moron. And when I turned around, all of the enemies were dead. I'm going to fully take credit for this when I get back to the Knights Guild. I'm not going to downplay it at all. Ooh, a lightning spell gem. Nice. There is magic in this game. The magic basically allows you to imbue like your shield or like your melee attack or your dash with various things. Maybe that's what it was. Now that I think about it, maybe the lightning gem was what changed my dash around the last time I played the game. I went back and watched my previous video, and I noticed that we had a different dash back then, and I couldn't decide if it was because they changed the dash. Maybe it's because I had the lightning gem slotted in, and maybe the lightning gem changes your dash into like a blink. Huh. Maybe that's what it was, now that I'm thinking about it. I didn't see any other places for us to go. Let me look around for a little bit, because sometimes this game can have really, really, really hidden kind of paths of advancement, and maybe I missed it. Indeed, there was a ladder back over here that I appear to have missed. A very, very tall ladder that kind of leads to God knows what. What it leads to, I'll tell you this right now, it does not lead to another checkpoint. Which I feel like a checkpoint right here would have been tasteful behind that big mob. You get a checkpoint right here, and then you keep on going. That would have been preferential to me. But I think a death is nearby in our future because I have no heals left. Looks like I can jump down right there, and there are like scrolls and stuff. But is that a bell right there? That might be a bell. I can't tell. We may only have to make it like a little ways further. Of all the faces, of all the places, it's good to see you again somehow. Your deserved answers for what I did back home, but I can't give them. Oh, is this the guy that burned down the cathedral and poisoned our water supply? I'm being hunted by the church, my old friends. They expect me to atone for my actions on Starspire. A penance only paid with my life, but I'm not sure I still have it left to give. Something happened to me earlier after I burned down the church Starspire. Death does not come to me like it should, but the penance redeemer, she will try any number of terrible methods to bring it about. Danthea will make me feel pain and pain again in her endeavors to bring me death to the point that I would gladly give it, but I'm afraid it will not come. You're almost Starspire's remnant knight. Can I ask of my knight to help me escape such a never-ending fate? Will you help me escape the penance, Redeemer? Okay, thank you. Our paths to freedom are few, I'm afraid. There is deception, and there is violence. Yes, there is violence, and think on it. In the meantime, here's my book of scripture. Take it back to Starspire in case I don't make it out of here. I'm pretty sure that's the book that I came for. I mean, I have a body we can use. Oh, mercy, how I've fallen. Well, if we want it to look convincing, make sure my overcoat scorches the corpse. My notoriety is carried in burns. There isn't much to discuss on the topic of violence. Danthea's our only obstacle, and as skilled as she may be, I remember vividly the warrior you became under Lawrence's tutelage. You could best her, though this will have consequences. All right. So basically, I have to decide whether I'm going to go with the church or whether I'm going to betray the church. Let's see what kind of treasures and things we find first. Oh, an armor. Nice, dude. I got some other guy's pants. That's why I adventure. So that I can have some other guy's pants. Does that take me back to a save point? Man. I think that might be a save point right there, but with the camera zoomed out, it's hard to say. No, that's a loot spot. Yeah, they definitely need to add a lot more checkpoints. Like, there need to be far, far more frequent checkpoints, in my opinion. Let's go down here. We will unlock that by kicking it down. And we do have loot and things in the area. I don't know exactly how to use the robes on the actual corpse itself. Haven't quite been able to figure that out yet. However, we did pick up some new pants. And I think we've already got the Cavalier's gloves on, right? So yeah, after dodging, we should... Yeah, there we go. When we pick up currency, our damage increases by 5% and it stacks 5 times. Since we pick up currency every single time we kill an enemy, that should be a damage buff that I think stacks up rather nicely. I'm going to descend down here, but I don't particularly want to. I would love to just find a save point. But that's pretty much Sands of Aura for right now. So, like, We're running out of time in this video, and I think I've covered my thoughts fairly well. But really, Sands of Aura is a beautiful game with fantastic voice acting, a really nice soundtrack, a really, really cool aesthetic design. However, there are little cracks here. Like, this is a game that I did find the combat to be a little bit unsatisfying. Like, the enemies react okay to you hitting them, but like them hitting you sometimes, you don't even notice you've been hit because there's no like knockback or stagger or anything else like that. There was just like the smallest little bit of clunkiness to some of the boss fights that I undertook while I was playing the game as well. When it came to kind of like animation reads and kind of, I guess, the way that the bosses like telegraph their swings and whatnot, combined with the fact that they didn't really react to me hitting them, and I didn't really react to them hitting me except for my bar going down. And so I found that this was like an intoxicatingly beautiful little fantasy world to play around inside of. But the combat itself does have like little tricky things to it that just make it feel off in some ways, and it's really, really hard to describe, and so be aware of that. The other thing is occasionally the camera will do things that you don't want it to do. You have a little bit of control over the camera with the mouse and keyboard controls, but ultimately sometimes if there's like something in between the player and the camera, or there's kind of something going on, the camera angle is not always going to be ideal when it takes over from certain angles when you're playing the game, and that was kind of another little thing that I ran into. Nonetheless, I do think that it's quite a triumph. I've played a lot of fantasy games out there. I've played a lot of RPGs, and in general, I tend to not care about the story at all. I tend to just mash through it all. And one of the things I really, really liked about this game is that they have created a world that is something unique, and I wanted to explore it further. And so that's one of those things with this game that's like jostling, because there's things about the combat, and for a combat-heavy game, I don't like those things about the combat. But despite that, I still want to keep playing and fiddling with it so that I can get to like the next dialogue and learn more about this weird world where sand has replaced the water and people go fishing inside the sand, and they trade like this magic crystal called glint, and it's an interesting little world to play around with a lot of factions vying for power, and I think that's really what grabbed me. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we were checking back in on Sands of Aura, because there's really nothing else going on in gaming right now. This is one of the deadest first quarters I have ever seen in my career. Hopefully we'll be back up on some new releases soon, but up until then, it seems like it's mostly just Vampire Survivors clones. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for stopping on in, and that's all I've got.